2. Whoo!
Welcome to Authenticity Lab, a podcast where we celebrate the connection with our authentic selves. I'm Dr. Kelsey Miles. I'm a musician, a songwriter, and also a chemistry professor. I use science and songwriting to help me understand my world within and the world around me. Each episode, I share a new life story, and I break it down using none other than the scientific method. My hope is that this podcast inspires you to live more boldly, lead a life of curiosity, and connect with who you truly are. Are you ready? Let's dive in. In today's video, I'm going to give you this foolproof method to get yourself out of any feeling of burnout. Last week's episode, that's episode 17, I listened to it and I was so low in energy. I could hear it. Every sentence I had was laborious. I was so burnout. I really was. I am climbing out of it, my friend, and it feels so amazing. I made a shift, and it was a very conscious perception shift that allowed me to get out of that state of burnout. So by the end of this episode, this life experiment, no matter if you are burnt out or not, I'm telling you, it will help you throughout your day. So this is not just for those that are burnt out. Today's episode is this beautiful 2-part reset that really works. Let me recap a bit from last week. We talked about burnout and how it's really a signal from your body that you are not listening to your inner world, your inner voice, your innermost authentic self. You're not hearing it. And so your body starts to shut down. You've been having high stress, cortisol starts to increase, all those lovely hormonal things that happen when you're really stressed. And then it causes you to slow down so that you'll rest. Now, in order to stop it from reoccurring, this is what today's episode is about. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and tell you what step 1 is. You may have a reaction to this. You may not. Who knows? Step number 1. I need you to recognize that there is absolutely no good or bad thing in your world. There's nothing that's good or bad. There are things that are in your world. There are things that just are, but nothing is actually good or bad. I know that sounds really weird. Let me give you an example. I noticed this morning, last week, really, I have a little bit of white hair. I'm touching it right now if you're watching the video. White hair right at my part that's showing up. Now, I just said data. I just said a fact. And I want you to go back into your mind and think about and go into your heart now. What emotion came up when I told you that I had white in my hair? Did you start to think about your own white hair? Did you have an emotion come up? Did you have something that said, oh my gosh? What did it say? Was it good or bad? Did it have a flavor of good or bad? Did it have a flavor of preference in there? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying though is that me telling you that I had some white hair in my hair that I can see is data, and it's neither good nor bad. I didn't even tell you whether I thought it was good or bad. I have a preference. Preferences are fine, but the difference is we as humans take data in our lives like whitening of hair, and we immediately jump to some feeling of good or bad. So if you were listening to me say that, perhaps in your mind, and comment on this video or this podcast episode, tell me what you thought or email me. I'm just curious. What did you think? Did you immediately have an emotion that said, oh, and maybe you related it to yourself or something, and I don't know, maybe that's bad that I have white hair. It's coming out already, or maybe I should think about getting it dyed, or maybe it's beautiful. Maybe you're someone who loves the look of natural white hair. Either way, The data that comes in our lives as humans, we immediately associate them as good or bad. That's what we do. We are constantly seeking for feelers out in the world of things that are good or bad. This is how we survived, right? This is a survival technique. But in science, this isn't what we do. For example, in science, if I'm going to run an experiment, whether it works or doesn't, I get useful data. And true scientists don't associate good or bad with data. It is just data. Now, of course, it's disappointing if you had a hypothesis and you really wanted it to work and it didn't. But look, you are attaching some kind of an expectation with your hope for what the outcome will be. It will automatically lead to disappointment. True scientists are open to whatever happens. Their number one priority is to set up the best experiment possible and collect the best data possible so that we can come up with the most clear conclusion that we can. And the idea is that every experiment leads you to more questions. That's the scary part and also the point in which we can grow the most. This idea about me having white hair on my head now, it's neither good nor bad. It just is. It is. We as humans are the ones that attach good or bad opinions to things happening. Last week in episode 17, I talked about burnout. One of the things that has haunted me the majority of my life, and I'm literally telling you this in this podcast about how there is no good or bad. And yet you're going to hear me talk about how my brain immediately goes to good or bad. This podcast is not me telling you that I know how everything works this is how it must go. I'm trying to share with you a perception and a lens that you can view your own life through. And I'm also sharing with you how I'm human and I'm not perfect. And my hope is that those two combined will let you figure out the best path for yourself and ways that maybe you can come back to an episode and listen to it to get inspiration to help guide you in whatever crap life throws at us, because this is what life does. That's exactly what life does. And as I'm recording this, I'm realizing how much more energy I have because of this two-step process. So, backing up the train, step number 1 is to really embrace the idea that there is no good or bad, there just is. There's just data. Episode 17, I talked about burnout, and in particular, I talked about how I felt guilty, and it felt bad that I was burned out. It felt bad that I felt depressed. And that was a judgment I put on the data. If I zoom out a little more and I really just look at it, the fact I was burned out was neither good nor bad. Now, you could say something like, well, Kelsey, what if I had to work that day and now I have no energy and I can't do this project, blah, 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 all this stuff. Sure, you can have reasons as to why you think it is good or bad. My response to that and my response to myself was, is it helping you? Deciding that it's bad. So that's how I shifted. That idea helped me shift immediately. Is it really helping me when I think about my burnout as being bad? And the answer was no, it was not. By me leaning into the fact that my being burnout it just was happening. It's neither good nor bad, it just is. It freed up this space in my mind, in my heart, in my body to actually get what it needed, which was rest. It stopped the judgment. I hear all the time this idea of don't judge. And I even talk about it in my journal, talking about this inner critic and how it's so loud. And it's easy to say the words, I'm not going to judge, or I'm not judging you, or whatever that sounds like. And to be honest, as humans, that's what we're here to do. We are data seekers, and we are picking out what we like and don't like constantly, all the time. Judgment is how we see the world, it's this perception. And so when we're really conscious about it and we say there's no good or bad, it just is, what you're actually doing is allowing yourself to see all possibilities. So I think in some ways, I've said this before, I think I have, about your inner critic or the judgment. That voice is pretty much always going. And if you insert something that's a little more data driven, more sciencey, where we just say, what's the data say? I'm not going to associate good or bad with it. I was burnout. And when I did that, I gave myself the space to do the next step. This next step, holy cow. It pretty much, this next step, step number 2, it allowed me to know exactly the next right step immediately. It allowed me to give myself grace for where I was at. It allowed me to immediately stop judging myself. So I gave myself space. I said, it's not good or bad that I'm burned out. And here's step 2. I have been trying to get to this next level. I've always been trying to improve. And in the case of this burnout, at that moment when I'm burnt out, I'm trying to be not burned out. So I'm sitting in burnout. I've decided it's bad. I'm trying to get out of burnout, right? And once I get out of burnout, I'll feel better. So I've decided step 1, it's neither good nor bad. It just is. That freed me up some. And in step 2, I decided, as delusional as it sounds, I said, oh, I am already her. I am already that next version of myself. I'm already the version that I want to be. That sounds a little delusional. It's one of those like woo-woo things where you hear about manifestation and changing your energy. But really, I dare you to try this because it really works. You have to do the first step, which is first decide nothing is good or bad. Give yourself that space. And then when I told myself I'm already her, here's what happened. I realized that me resting in that moment, because it was neither good nor bad, I was resting in that moment. And if it's true that I already am the person who I'm trying to become, I'm already her, then me resting right now was a conscious decision. Me resting right now is exactly what needs to happen, and I'm already doing it from a place of her. It lightened up everything for me. I'm not trying to get not burnt out. I'm not burnt out anymore. And me resting right now is just exactly what I need. I don't know if this is hitting you in the same way it is for me, but this realization absolutely blew my mind in the moment of when I was really holding on to something, saying it was bad. Let me tie this in with another episode that I did recently, episode 16. I talked about how I had this opportunity to open for Pat Benatar. Oh, yeah. Queen of rock vocal. Could not wait. The opportunity slipped out of my hands because she got sick. The night before I was supposed to play at this arena, the show got canceled. You can Google it. Kelsey Miles, Pat Benatar. It was in Troy, Ohio. I thought that was going to be the thing that was going to help me make it and break through with my career. And that event helped me understand that the person I was trying to get to, I was already her. The events up to it made me level up. And even though I didn't get to be the Kelsey that opened for Pat Benatar, I was already her. I already had those skills. It was neither good nor bad that the show got canceled. It just was. And looking at it like that, I actually get to walk through my life standing a little taller and being more celebratory about the things that I've gained up until those moments. It's really life-changing, this perception shift. And especially if you're going through any burnout, let me tell you, this helped me tremendously. Let me bring you back to this week. So this idea that I'm holding and that I'm leading with, I'm already her. It has given me so much relief. I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm doing what I need to do to get to the next level. I'm already there. I'm already her. I already know what I need to do right now. Have you ever heard of like people saying, live in the now? Sometimes that works for me, sometimes it doesn't. What I'm telling you in this episode is another kind of flavor of that, where you live in the now. You do so by relieving yourself of all the extra pressure that I know you fellow high achievers and go-getter doners and you people pleasers and helpers always do. You're always looking for the next thing, the next step. And so you often forget to be right here, right now. So this method of thinking that I'm already that person, I'm already that next version of myself, really relieves you from the stress and the pressure that you always put yourself under, that I do too. When I keep reminding myself, I am her, every choice that I make becomes a little easier. It's almost as if I know what choice I need to make in order to be my best self. I know how to listen to myself. I know how to respond to the things around me. I'm not always going to get it right. And also at the same time, I'm already her, meaning that if I stumble, it was exactly what needed to happen so I could grow. And this week, when I've thought about, well, what should I do next? I just think, well, I am her. What would she do? And I know, and I do it. This 1-2 punch, this first step, removing good and bad, reminding yourself it's just data, gives you the space. And then the second step of relieving that pressure of you needing to be somewhere else to be happy, deciding that you already are the person that you're trying to be, and you are it. You already are right now. That shift will help you make decisions that you thought were difficult. You'll make them way easier for yourself. And this, my friend, leads us to your life experiment for this week. This life experiment, I'm going to encourage you to do this as many times this week as you can. This is going to be best done, I found, right before you go to bed and right in the morning. This is an internal conversation. You could also say it out loud or journal this. Before you go to bed, I want you to allow whatever struggles that are kind of coming up, right before you go to bed and you start to think about things that had happened that day. Every time one comes up or something you're worried about for tomorrow, I want you to remind yourself there's no good or bad. And every time something comes up, just say, whether it's good or bad, just say, it just is, and you can be grateful for all of it. It just is. And I'm really grateful for all of it. Give yourself that space. That's the first one. And then right before you fall asleep, I want you to remind yourself that you already are the person, that next version of yourself, the person you're trying to be, the person that you is going to get all these things done tomorrow. You already are that person. You already are that person. You're already your second leveled up version. And when you do that, then you can fall asleep. And when you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed, remind yourself, today I already am her, or I already am him. I already am them. I'm already that next version of myself. I'm here. I'm already here. I'm already here. Then get out of bed. And I'm curious as to what will happen, because for me, what happened, it was immediate relief. I gave myself grace in every decision I made. I made it easier for me to make decisions. I got off my own back about being burnout. I reminded myself throughout the day I was doing my best. I celebrated the little wins. I had more grace for the people around me. I wasn't trying to achieve something I already was that person. It was a reminder for myself that I am a human being. A human being, not a human doer. I'm a human being. I am being, and I already am the version of myself that I have been trying to be. I already am. I already am her. I already am. This is your life experiment. If you can do this before you go to bed, and especially when you wake up, and remind yourself every time you have a thought about something happening, a challenge, and you decide it's good or bad, keep reminding yourself, it's neither good nor bad, it is. What's the data telling me? Remind yourself, I already am the next version of myself. I'm already that person. And then you'll know what to do. You'll know how to respond. Give yourself space and then remind yourself who you are so you can respond. Give this a go this week. This is your life experiment. I would love to hear from you if this worked for you. This is just another tool in your toolkit. I know I'm keeping this one in my toolkit. I don't know why my toolkit exists on my left hip, but I always reach there when I talk about my life toolkit. And it's interesting because I think about all these tools as my scientific brain always thinks about, like, how can I calibrate my instrument and how can I run experiments to get more tools and skills and tricks? Ways in which I can keep reconnecting with myself. This is just how my brain works, and this is why I'm sharing it with you. And the idea is that uh, every day we're a little different, and every day we're experiencing different events. And the the one constant in your life you can always count on is change. And the way I like to approach this is by giving myself the most tools that I possibly could have so I could navigate my world and enjoy it every step of the way. So, this podcast, it may not work for you, this method, this idea that I had, and it may actually work really well. Now, either way, it could possibly work better later on. Maybe in a few months from now, you decide to try it. Or maybe it works great now, and maybe a few months from now, it doesn't work. The point is that we're trying to put more tools in our toolkit so that we can be walking around with more options so that when we get stuck, we've got a place where we can go and some tools that we can use and remind ourselves of. I know my friends have reminded me of things I've shared with them and have also shared on this podcast to remind me to use tools I've already talked about. And this is why we need friends. We need friends to bounce things off of. So if you have a friend that you think would enjoy this podcast, it would mean the world to me if you could share it with them. And this can give you guys something to bounce off of in case, one of you is going through a challenging time. Maybe someone will remind you, or you remind them of a tool that we've talked about on this podcast. And you can also join me at kelseymiles.com/thelab, THELAB, and sign up there. It's free to sign up, to subscribe, and then you can be added to my email list. And of course, if something comes up for you from this podcast, I would love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to share it with people here on this podcast. Tell me if something works or doesn't work. Tell me about an experience where you used one of these tools and how did it go? Tell me the data. You can email me at kelsey@kelseymiles.com. My email is also below in the show notes. I want to thank you so very much for joining me on today's episode of Authenticity Lab, where we talked about this really powerful two-step reset that helps you open up your mind, give you some space, and then allow you to navigate the next steps with clarity and power from the stance of you already are version 2.0 of yourself. I'll be back next week with a new life story, and I'll challenge you with a new life experiment to help you live more boldly, lead a life of curiosity, so you can keep being your most amazing, authentic self.
Yeah, that house will always call you.